Have a seat. They're there for you.
You got a hot flash.
Yes, ladies. Yes, I hear you, girls. I see you.
Well, can I be the first to officially say to you guys, happy 35th? Oh, I did. You weren't here for that. I'm going to sit right back here. So guys, back in Maine, 35 years later, what's it feel like?
28. You're 28. Wait a minute. No. Nico hasn't changed at all.
Spends a lot of time in Rio.
It's a microphone. I wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that it was shot in Maine. It wasn't.
It's a tiny stage. It's weird you're behind us.
It's weird, yeah. It's the voice of God. Right?
Yeah. We're here together.
I'm gonna come over here.
Hey, just relax and lean into it. Relax and lean into
Here.
it.
Why don't you sit down there and talk? Take a chair and sit down there. And
You can't share the stage with
I
anyone.
want to be able to see you.
You want me to switch with Miko too?
Yeah.
Or you want Brad over here? Or what?
I want you to
I know.
So yeah, shooting in Maine. It wasn't shot on a set. It was shot in a real place. How'd that help?
Well, Stephen King was around for the first couple weeks of rehearsals. That helped a lot.
Was that intimidating?
No, because he was goofy. Wonderful. Yeah, he comes to these rehearsals and motorcycle chain on. He's drinking a can of Jolt that's 4 times the caffeine, 5 times the sugar of any drink ever. And he would read out loud from the obituaries occasionally, which I thought was apropos. You know?
Remember that big belt?
Yeah.
Belt buckle of a bat. That was,
But he was so laid back,
Yeah.
remember?
Well, laid back, no, not laid back. It was pretty inner, Jolt Colas,
Right.
He was slamming them. But he was so kind.
Yes.
And he was so available to us. And really excited, he was genuinely excited to see this movie get made.
And this is the one time he actually wrote the script for the movie, which a lot of his other stuff he did. And, you know, Fred Gwynn, our favorite guy that's not here, when Stephen King came on the set, I said, I'm going to pick his brain, Dale. I'm going to pick his brain. I looked at him and I said, good luck.
I wanted to actually touch a bit on the Fred Gwynn. I mean, you guys, maybe with the exception of Miko, but what are some of your memories of, being on set with him? Any, personal interactions?
He was a beautiful, gentle, big child. One of the few people I had to read it with. And he was just the sweetest man. And he was also really involved with the work because we had talks in between days and stuff. It made me feel better. One night we were sitting out on the porch. He said, praise. I'm like, right. What, he said, good job yet? He said, Mom, tell him, good job.
He also wrote in illustrated children's books. So, he was just this sort of magical creature in a way. I've never really met anyone like him. He had this genuineness that a lot of people, I find, a lot of actors, a lot of people I've worked with over the years, they get jaded. They're not available. And I didn't say Yeah, he was just so real, and he was so good. Acting with him was so, you had to. They always say when you act with somebody really good, it makes you better as an actor, and that's for sure with him.
Yeah, we didn't want to let him down.
Right.
I have a Fred Gwynne story. We were never in the same scene, but we would like cross each other in the night when he was getting off work and I was going on, right? And or vice versa. So this one night, and it's when he was shooting with you, Dale, with the scene where he thinks, when he says, I killed your child, right? I came on and I said, how's it going? And he said, tough night. He said, I've got the scene where I have to confess my feelings to Louis, and boy, the tears weren't coming, they weren't coming. And we do it again and again, and no tears. And so then we took a break and came outside and smoked half a pack of cigarettes and drank 3 cups of coffee, and I go back in and they were right there.
Yeah. Oh my God, you're starting to become him.
Hey, Brad, well.
So this is what I use for my acting technique all the time. Just half a pack of cigarettes and 3 cups of coffee. And then you can do anything.
Brad, while you still have the mic, I was hoping maybe you could touch a little bit about the contrast between Pascal being that source of, good light while looking, kind of how he did, and Judd being the angel of darkness. Even though he was supposed to be the gentler one, it was kind of an interesting thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, there's all these sorts of things in this story that Stephen King wrote. It's really brilliant because none of it is made like, it's not put in your face, It's there for the audience to discover or feel subconsciously, I mean, for myself, I knew right away. Okay, first of all, the thing is, when you have these makeups, then everyone on the crew likes to make fun of you. You go on the set and people go, "Oh, you're so scary." They don't playing around. You can't blame them. But as an actor, you can't fall for it. You can't start going, "Oh, I'm so scary." Not with this role, So I had my script with me all the time, and it was in a notebook, and on the front cover I had a picture of an angel sitting on a child's bed, and the child is sleeping. And that was always the very last thing I looked at before I went into shoot. Just remember, you're an angel. Just forget about how you look. Just remember, you're an angel, you're trying to help everybody, right? To be have that empathy, and a force of benevolence throughout, Because it would have been a disaster if I didn't do that. If I played the scary guy, if I played the makeup, it would have been terrible, right? It wouldn't have worked. So
The makeup did half the job, though. She didn't have to.
what makeup? That was the result of that bar fight you and I had that first night.
Well, I'm sorry I left you behind, but there were...
You didn't leave me behind. I won. Just a little roughed up, but that's all.
You should have seen the other guy.
So Miko, you were a little young when we did this. Do you remember when it was that you learned that you were a part of this? Do you remember how it happened? When were you finally exposed to it?
Yeah, I don't remember much from being there, literally on set, but it's been such a big part of my life and so defining from such a young age. I knew, I had a general sense of what it was, that I pretended to do this thing, and I knew what movies were, I knew cartoons and this and that, and I knew it was scary. I saw scenes, clips in isolation of myself throughout the years kind of growing up. My parents would show me, but I didn't sit and watch the whole film from start to finish until I was about 12. So it's always been there in this weird, vague sense. We went back to some of the locations when I was about 16, And I couldn't tell you, we went back to the house, and the family was nice enough to let us go in. And I couldn't tell you what was behind the door, but as soon as I walked through the doorway, it was immediately familiar. I knew I had been there. So it was like a long lost grandparents' house or something. Yeah, so it's there, but if it is, it's like memories of memories. But I remember I don't remember anything else about being that young. You know, it's probably my furthest back memories. That's just been instilled by family and friends and this, and you know, it's there. It's just fuzzy.
So it's always been there, and it's never really had a chance to feel weird about, you know, something you did before you had like real conscious memory.
Sure. Yeah. They're like my baby home movies.
Yeah.
Look how he's grown.
I just learned to read. Been working on that.
You're telling us, Denise, like Mary was really accommodating for the shooting schedule with Miko. If you mind touching on that?
So it's unusual for a film to be shot in order, you know. You're obviously shooting what you can get at the time, and it's always out of order. But the continuity was really important for this film because we needed the good stuff to happen first. The family to bond and be happy and playful and excited about moving to a new place, so that we could ease the baby into trusting the process, trusting us, feeling safe, having fun. You know, we had to, in order to that Miko would want to be there every day, you know, because it was so much fun. And Mary so brilliantly mapped out the schedule with that in mind to achieve that. She also, of course, cast Miko as opposed to twins, which you normally would cast. With Ellie. Ellie was, twins, Blaze and her sister. But when she met Miko and saw Miko, she said, "That is Gage, and I'm willing to shoot accommodate the schedule to shoot just with him," which made it a lot more complicated and a lot more difficult on the director to, shoot around, because he could only work, a couple of hours a day. So and those hours had to work. Those hours that we had with him had to work. So by the time we get to the end, when Gage is, Gage, he's like, "Yeah, man, this is fun. You want to do what? You want to hand me a scalpel? Oh, this is neat." So it was all fun and games at that point. Actually, a little too fun, as I recall. Kidding.
We have some behind-the-scenes footage of him like playing with the staff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was in Ellsworth, right in the warehouse. He was like sword fighting with them and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. He was full on at that point. Yeah.
And that had to be pretty later on, because he was wearing the costume when he was buried in. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. But it worked. It really was brilliant of her. Really.
Yeah, and I have her to thank for my career for sticking up for me instead of going with twins, because I hear the studio was like pushing for that. So forever thankful that she liked me.
She's a really cool woman. Very artistic. She's lovely.
Yeah.
She's lovely.
I wish she was here. Yeah, she would really enjoy this. Yeah. I'm gonna send her a picture later of this one under the truck.
Yeah.
Hi, Mary. Thinking of you.
He's sitting on the truck naked.
Oh yeah, she's been waiting for that one for 35 years, baby. 35 years.
Can you guys talk about, speaking of Mary, the significance of having a woman directing a horror film in the 80s like that? What it brought to the film, how she added to it?
Well, she knows Mary really well.
Wow, you know, in the moment, it's funny because I've gained that appreciation over time. I mean, to really step back and see it in a way that it didn't really feel that oddly significant at the time to me, because Mary was working, you know, she was in the thick of it. She had a huge career as a music video director in the 80s. She did Madonna's, all of her initial most significant music videos. And she was a painter, and she was involved with, you know, all kinds of artists and talent. And she had already done a film called Siesta. She was the original director on Prince's movie Under the Cherry Moon until he took it over. And then, so it was like she was formidable. So there was no pause when she went right in to direct a studio film. I mean, and I had worked with her already up to on a number of music videos, so I knew what she was capable of. And you know, we had spent a lot of time together talking and going to dinners and stuff. Now, you know, 35 years later, I go, wow. I mean, there are still very few women directing, and not in horror, that's for sure. So that is pretty amazing when, you know, now that I have some distance.
Is King handpicked her?
Yes, yeah.
Andrew?
I didn't know that.
Andy, when people say Pet Semetary,
Yes.
somebody's sort of like, what's that one? Like, oh, dude, that one with the girl in the bed.
Sorry to disappoint you.
I'm wondering, over the years, I mean, if you just happen to be talking about Pet, like, and you say to people, well, I was Zelda, I was the crippled girl in the bed. What are people's reactions?
You traumatized me when I was a kid.
Yes.
Gave me nightmares when I was a kid.
Yes.
Fucked me up when I was a kid.
Check.
Yeah, exactly. So
You spent the last 35 years just apologizing?
Usually they're pretty surprised.
Childhood trauma.
Yeah.
I actually do conventions called I'm Sorry. And
From what you told us, the process of going through that was excruciating.
Yeah, I guess it was. Well, I was coming out of New York, so flew me up to Ellsworth, to Bangor, drove me to Ellsworth, got me into the makeup trailer, took off my shirt, and started putting on the makeup, which they had made a few months before after taking a body cast. So it was kind of like a 1/4 inch of foam that they then started to glue onto my face, my back, my hands, and as I've told people, it took anywhere from like 15 to 20 hours to put on. In the makeup trailer in Maine in October. It was my first or second film. I hadn't had really any experience doing film, so I didn't know what to expect. Mary was great, really supportive, but I was kind of at a loss, so, you know, I had some anxiety going on. And so by the time they got the makeup on, then there was no taking it off, as I've told many of you today. And then we just kind of shot for the next couple of days or 24 hours. I can't remember what it was. So what you are seeing when you're watching Zelda is someone who is already in an altered state of consciousness. I do believe so. But I had a lot of support. Denise was there for me behind the camera. Everyone, like I said, Mary was really supportive and great. Rad calmed my panic in the makeup trailer. I was like, what's going on? What am I supposed to do? And so it was a great process, but it was also kind of scary and anxious.
It was, I remember, I'd never seen anything like that. when I came onto the set at you as Zelda.
Really?
Yeah. So sweet, really. No, I was just, oh my God, this is terrifying. So when I went to do my scene with Lewis talking about Zelda and how disturbing my life was, I was forced to go and feed you and change you and all this stuff, it was right there. I mean, I was so grateful that I had done that first. Yeah. Because now I really locked it in. Like, there was no acting I had to do, It was just think of Zelda. Think of what you just witnessed.
Hey, did I help you out?
No.
I said, who are you? You look like a freak.
I don't know if did I see you? I don't think we did.
I wouldn't, yeah, I don't think so.
You're a mystery.
I still am.
No, you're not. You're my brother now, man.
So why do you guys think that, I mean, it's 35 years later, it wasn't low budget per se, but it was on the lower side of budget. Why do you think this film has such staying power? I mean, they used to call it a cult classic, but I think now it's kind of elevated a little bit beyond that. Just looking around, I mean, why do you think the film has such staying
Well, the
power?
proof is in the pudding, man. People still watch it. They turn their children onto it, and their children, and their children, you know what I'm saying?
I think the industry has caught up and culture has caught up with the movie. I think the movie was way ahead of its time. Because those horror movies, Stephen King in particular, even though he was such a widely read author, he was still Creepshow, and so the horror movies were just a small little niche thing back then, and how dare a horror movie come along for the general public? How dare it, right? But I think now horror movies are very mainstream, and it's okay to go to a movie and get really scared and see lots of gore and things like that. It's not going to hurt society to make films like that, right? All of these things have caught up with the movie, right? That's what I think. I think that the culture has caught up with the movie. In other words, the movie was way ahead of its time.
There wasn't convention culture, there wasn't horror cons, and I think word of mouth and maybe this scene has helped spread that too. I also think why the movie kind of stands out, it is certainly classified as a horror, and I think it belongs there, but I think it's kind of unique in that it's not like a slasher, it's not a killer, it's not this, there's so many subcategories within horror, and I feel like at its heart, it's a family tragedy with supernatural elements. It's the drama of real life horror, of something, terrible things that can happen, and then it adds Stephen King, what if you could change that in this dark way, and no matter how hard you try, you just make it worse and worse, and it gets darker and darker.
And the horror, following up on that, the horror happens in the souls of the people watching. More, you don't necessarily see it play out on the screen so much, but it happens inside of the audience, right? The same way that Psycho does, right? Hitchcock's Psycho. It happens inside of us more than on the screen. The screen is just giving you little cues, just like Stephen King does in his books. I mean, his books, he leads all these circumstances up to the last page of the chapter, and then he stops writing, and you're like, oh my God, and the next chapter starts with the aftermath. It's that brilliant kind of writing. So I think that's a big part of it.
Just kind of piggybacking off of that, I think another difference is that, unlike a lot of films that don't really let you breathe, that keep moving from scene to scene to scene, I think this one actually gives the viewer time to grieve. I mean, that whole part after the accident with the truck, I mean, it's like excruciating for the next 10, 15 minutes. It's just like the funeral and the burial and, saying goodbye and to when you guys were going to Chicago. I mean, it really lets you grieve in those moments, and a lot of films just kind of skip over that just to get to the next.
Absolutely.
Well, anybody want to throw a few questions this way? Show of hands. Yeah.
For Miko. Oh, I'm loud. Stay there. As a parent, I have a hard time watching the scene with Gage. How did your parents enjoy watching you get hit by a truck? I mean, did they?
I don't know. I actually haven't asked them too much about it. I would imagine they enjoyed it. They just, they're like, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
I tried to keep him away from his parents
Oh,
because
my God.
he was much freer when he was.
Well, funny story about the twins thing. With the truck, I actually originally was twins. But dark humor.
Roll credits, right? Anyone else? Okay.
I have two questions. One, Dale, when you fly out of bed after having that nightmare, did you hit your head on that side table? Oh, God.
Oh, that's the
To
worst
this
part.
day, I'm like, oh my God.
Hey, but they wouldn't give it to me. Yeah, I did. Sometimes that stuff is an accident.
Oh, my God, yeah. And two, for such a horrific movie, were there any funny moments during filming? For any of you?
No.
Or like moments you made funny or lighthearted or?
It's our memoir.
Probably with the cat.
Was that time you put Miko in the dryer and put it on?
No, that was church.
Sure.
There were 7 of them, okay?
It's not funny when it's animals. Why is it funny with people? Why is that different?
Yeah.
I'm a person.
I don't remember any funny moments. Pretty serious.
You know, we would let off steam. We would go to our favorite little lobster joint called Bob the Lobster. And, you know, we just kind of played pool. Remember the pool? You had a pool table at your place, too, I remember. Dale.
I did.
Hello? Are you awake? Okay, good. You had a pool table. I remember. Yeah, you had a pool table, and Bob the Lot had a pool table. And, you know, we'd eat like massive amounts of lobster tails and drink beer and, you know, kind of take the steam off a little bit.
Yeah.
Miko was there at the bar with a...
Actually, he was the designated driver.
Little pedal extenders.
Yeah, you just got a question.
So, with the exception of Miko, obviously, had any of y'all read the book prior to ever being cast for the film? And what was y'all's?
No, I didn't read it until after the cast. I read it 3 times. Denise probably read it.
No, I read it after I got cast, absolutely. Scared the hell out of me. A door creaked and I threw the book across the room and said, I'm done.
Yes.
I'm from the Ellsworth area, and I actually drive by the house every day. I live in Hancock. And my mother worked at a local clinic in Ellsworth called Men Now at the time, and she said that supposedly the scalpel and maybe Miko was sick and had a cold and went in there. This was before HIPAA. Do you have any recollection of that? I'm probably not Miko, but I don't know what you guys know about the problem.
Well, I went to hang out with a doctor at the emergency room for a couple of days, couple months, but I don't know if that's the place.
Yeah, it was just a small little clinic in Ellsworth. That seemed very memorable.
I remember sitting there going, this is it? You've got like one guy with a small cut on his arm, this is it? This is the emergency room?
Yeah, it's a city hall, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
You know, I remember now, I haven't thought of this since it happened. We went into that doctor's office, you and me, Dale, we went into the doctor's office to interview the doctor about the scene where you try to save me, right? And we go in there, we're in the waiting room, and that was the first time I'd met you, actually. Yeah, we had nothing to say to each other.
I think I said you suck, I think.
That kind of set the tone, yeah. And we went in, and we walked in and sat down, and he was sitting at his desk, but his back was to us. And then he spun around in his chair and he had this monster mask on. And I thought it was hilarious. I burst out laughing. And Dale was like this. And then he was like, well, we came here to ask you questions. But yeah, and he told us about, you know, the brain trauma and what would happen, how it would go. I forgot all about that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I know you guys have to rush out to a photo shoot. Do we have time for maybe one more?
Yeah, I got one right here. So, have any of you guys seen the remake or any of the sequels or anything that's come out after this? If you give in the finger, actually, that's really funny. Oh, he wants a phone. Thank you, that is perfect.
Dale, have you ever been on Facebook?
About to be.
So makes you guys feel any better, I've only seen the 89 film. I haven't seen any others.
Oh, okay.
I was just curious.
One more all the way in the back.
Back when the movie was first released, was there like any crazy pushback for like killing a kid and then like making them do bad stuff throughout the film? Because I feel like even now, like having anything bad happen to a child in a horror movie is still like very heavy and down on.
What's the question
Oh, was there any pushback, like censorship? Was there any buzz or issues about having a young child having gore and violence and any of that?
Well, they never actually showed the impact.
Squish.
Yeah, I think the bigger concern was always about the fact that the child killed its mother, matricide. So that was more the issue, believe it or not. That they were very concerned, as was Stephen when he wrote the book. You know, he wrote Pet Semetary and threw it in a drawer and didn't, you know, pull it out, only because he had a 3-book deal and he didn't have a 3rd book to turn into his publisher, so he pulled it out of the drawer and turned it in. But he, in one of the forewords to the book, he rewrote the foreword like around 90-something, 96 maybe, and he said, people often ask him, which book does he feel is his most terrifying? And people assume it's going to be The Shining or, you know, Cujo or Carrie or something. And he always says it's Pet Semetary, because I felt I went too far with that book. And I know I had conversations with Mary on the set that she kind of, there was this underlying fear constantly that the studio was going to shut us down, that they had okayed this, but
That happened in the first couple of weeks.
yeah, we changed director of photography. We shut down for a few days at the very beginning of the filming, and that's when I thought, okay, this is not gonna go, because they're gonna somebody in the system is gonna say you can't have matricide. It is just too much for people to deal with. But you know, here we are.
You would have flown in another studio, I mean, with another director, because it was Stephen King, I think that just kind of gave him.
I think it's some safety net there, you know, that they went, well, it's Stephen King, and you know, well, they had committed, you know, so you can't, you know, it's very hard to, once you commit, to turn around and shut down a movie. There's a lot in place, but there was always a little bit of an underlying terror that was going to happen.
As if there wasn't enough already.
Just a quick question. What were your first impressions when you saw that gorgeous diorama of Pet Semetary yesterday? I was sent a video, but I just want to hear your words, because
It's incredible. I'll just say this, I asked him how much he paid for it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to share that with you.
Yeah.
$10 wouldn't take.
I heard you wanted to do a Godzilla on it, but that's.
I was, yeah.
I got talked down from that.
Yeah, that was the best diorama I think I've ever seen. As far as props go, we've seen the shows, that's top, one of the top for sure.
You are
Ooh, you're in trouble.
Oh, okay, okay.
You were a bad girl.
Hey, I'm a bad girl.
I'm a bad
She did it wrong. When she got you, she should have been like, hey,
What?
Why am I being silent?
Photo.
Something about the queen is one. Ladies and gentlemen, Denise Crosby.
Now we have nothing to say. We've lost our only girl.
I have plenty to say, but I've lost my train of thought. We'll get back to you.
Special occasions, right?
Perfect.
I got a question for Miko. In your personal life, you're a beekeeper?
Yeah, I haven't actually kept bees in quite a while, but I've always had a passion for them. I grew up outside of Los Angeles where there was room, and now since I've been in LA, I haven't really had a hive in a while, but I always thought they were cool.
How many times you've said that? I haven't had a hive in a while.
Yeah. It's been a minute. Use a good hive. Yeah, I just thought they were cool. I saw a documentary and I kind of nerded out on them, and I told my parents I wanted a beehive, and they were like, yeah, next week it'll be a pony or whatever. And then I just like stuck with it. I was like, no, I want bees, I want bees. They're like, you know, bees. So, yeah, I've just kind of been into it.
Gentlemen, a lot of actors say they don't like watching their movies. Do you guys watch your movies in Pet Semetary and that?
I haven't seen Pet Semetary in 35 years.
Really?
No, seriously, I haven't watched any of my stuff.
I haven't seen Pet Cemetery in,
I want to watch the documentary again.
I haven't seen Pet Cemetery in about 12 hours.
You fall asleep to it every night.
Just certain scenes I watch. I zip through the boring scenes until that Pascal guy comes in. And then I enjoy those scenes.
I still enjoy the centerfold I did in Playgirl in 1992.
Hey!
Not true!
Hey, they were buying it.
I have two things to say to that. Okay. Number one, true. And number two,
I feel the same way.
you know, without Denise kind of centering all of us, Pet Semetary would have just been an all-out comedy. And really, a really stupid comedy. Right?
The Marx Brothers visit Pet Semetary. Any other questions? How about some karaoke?
Gentlemen, or lady in the back.
Just a quick question. You have experience working in Hollywood sound stages and then also working here in Maine, in situ, in a small town in Maine, really embracing the whole experience as your character, being able to
It was perfect.
relate. Is it different filming on a Hollywood stage versus a sound stage with no
Yeah, because
windows
half your work is
versus
done,
being-
you've got the environment around you that you're supposed to be in.
It must be easier, is it not? Or
I think there's pros and cons to both. On a soundstage, you can lock everything off, everyone's there and focused, and at work, if you're on a street or a real location, you have to have people blocking traffic in between takes. You have to have, sometimes there's a bit of a walk between the trailers and where the set is, and there's an organicness to being on real location that's like, this is a real house. You don't have to think about embodying, okay, where's the shape of the house? Because on a studio, you could walk around the corner and then it's just plywood and the bathroom's not there or whatever, you know? So you can kind of stay in the environmental moment a little easier, but then it's easier on stage to control for minutia environmental things, and you can react to things a little quicker because everything's there. They can produce something in the shop if they need to instead of running and getting it or that kind of thing. So there's kind of pros and cons to both. I guess it depends on the scene.
I would also like to add, movie sets are, by and large, movie sets are one of the most joyful things you'll ever walk into, whether it's on a set or whether it's in the real environment. Everybody is so happy because they're employed. Because all of us, you know, not just the actors, but
That was a poltergeist, that wasn't.
Dale, this is what it's like
That
all
was
the time.
Can't think of anyway.
Oh, so much damage is done. But you know, people are just so happy to be working, you know, because the cinematographers, the whole camera department, the grips, everybody, we all go through unemployment, and everyone's so happy to be working. So they're generally really happy places, you know. Some tension can creep in when scenes are not working, but
too.
yeah. But in general, they're very, whether it's in a soundstage or on location, they're great places to be. Mostly, and when it's not, it's awful.
Dale.
What?
You were affected by the burn of the Judd house, weren't you?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool, actually.
Did you get a burn on your face?
That's legend.
Legend. Didn't really happen.
I did Brad pulled me out of the fire, so that's,
Yeah.
I thought that was great when they burned the thing down. Remember that? What's that? Was I the only one there? I lit the fuse.
Your trailer caught on fire too. Unrelated.
After I did that scream in the road, went back for lunch and somebody went, "There's a fire." I lit the candle of my apartment and killed it. The trailer guys hated me after that. They put garbage bags over my window.
That's a great idea.
That's a funny moment.
That's a great idea. Let's do that to the house. Any more questions?
Dale, in the scene where you roll out of bed and you smack your head on the side table, it looks very realistic. Did you actually hit your head on the table?
I still do that to this day. You check for concussions monthly.
You almost just fell off the table here. So.
No, I really did. I really did hit that. But it was fine. It was like, oh, that works.
It looks so painful.
It's the one they printed. So,
He made a lot more sense before. Ever since, he's not been.
After that, I had like a few cards with my lines on.
Brad, can we get the ground is sour from me?
What's the line?
Ground beyond is
Ground beyond. What does that mean? Just say the line. Ground beyond is fuck off.
Are we good? Everybody happy?
It's about time to change my diaper.
Cast of Pet Semetary, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes!
You guys should take the stairs. Denise Crosby, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, what do you want to know? She's been asking, raising. guys?
We're in that, we can go.
That's where I just came back from the Walking Dead photo shoot. That's what they pulled me out for. It was amazing. They're amazing.
Hop into the cosplay contest with
I'll sit for a few minutes if you guys want to chat. Cool. Yeah. Justin, join me. Come up here. We'll have our own panel. Me and Justin. You guys know who Justin is?
Yes.
Okay. How many saw the amazing documentary he made? Right? Cool. Oh, good. It was amazing. You did such a good job. We had so much fun.
It was, I tell people it was a labor of love, and then it just became a labor. It started off great.
I thought you were going to say it just became a love.
I mean, because it
love fest.
It started off so easy. I mean, Mika was the second interview we got, and it was going gangbusters, and then the pressure started. We didn't know if you were going to say yes. We didn't know if Mary was going to say yes. Now here we were sitting on all these interviews. What do we do with them?
Oh God, I remember Brad is the one who called me and initiated it. And it's oftentimes with this kind of thing, if one of your castmates or coworkers that you trust says, gives them the okay, approves of them, then you jump in, and that if it was good enough for Brad, it was good enough for me.
It started so organically too. I tell people, John and I were just going up to Maine to take some photos of the, where it was shot. And, there's only a couple of places you can find, well, back then there was only a couple of places you could find online. So we were like, well, where the hell's the Micmac? Where's the orbit that they went through? And so John started, he started digging, he started reaching out to the Historical Society. And, we get a couple of, we know where the house is, but, then this one guy came up and he was just like, oh, I know exactly where these things were shot. And you may want to talk to so-and-so because I know they have a shoebox full of photos that nobody's ever seen before. I said, well, let's see them. And then, we said, how do we get these out? And we thought about maybe doing a book, but, my experience is in film.
Yeah, it's the way, as I've made them
Right.
too, so I am a huge documentary fan. I was shooting I was shooting a series called Suits up in Toronto, and on the street that my hotel was, about 2 blocks down, was the only cinema in North America dedicated to documentaries. It only shows documentaries. And it's funny because, it would be in Toronto. I mean, Toronto is a great cinema, dream, but it's not in Hollywood or it's not in, New York or anything. But I would go whenever I was off shooting. I would just walk down to the movie, and I didn't even check what was playing. It just didn't matter. It's always fascinating. All right. Any other pet cemetery? Okay, you.
Justin,
Yes.
I'm Sandy.
You?
Sandy Pippin.
Oh, are you Karen?
Yeah, I'm Karen.
Hi. Great to meet you.
There we go.
Yeah.
So he was the main historian that we used.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got to tell you about Sandy
Oh,
after next time.
Sandy was an absolute gold mine, this guy.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is. What happened with Ellie?
With Ellie.
Blaze? Where's Blaze?
No, Ellie.
Oh, wait. Oh, see, that's the sequel.
Yes.
That Mary.
Writing them.
You are? That was what Mary Lambert always wanted to make. Because Ellie is the only survivor. And it becomes Ellie's story. Well, I think Ellie grew up in Chicago with her parents, with her grandparents. But she went back.
Yes.
Because she just had to. And she couldn't reconcile, her family leaving like that,
She blamed herself for Gage's death.
Did she?
Does she?
I think she has a lot of blame for just the whole place, and I think she ultimately, because I like someone to go through a search and come to a resolve, and I think she comes to forgive her father. Because really,
She said, "You little shit," and you all turned, and it was ha 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 as Gage's.
right.
And if she hadn't, she remembers that.
Good observation. I love it. I think it's definitely the way to go. I think there's room there to explore, and I guess I gotta go back.
I mean, something else that Semetary did was they kind of focused a little bit on how the sibling would react and how they would deal with that. I mean, she was walking around with this photo and pulling the wagon and all that stuff, so it's like, you know, it kind of dealt with the loss that a sibling would feel as well.
Absolutely. It's gotta be, the case.
So few horror movies ever touch on that kind of stuff.
Well, that's why this movie has such impact. As these guys we were talking earlier, you see the unraveling of a family, and it's not an exceptional family. It's a beautiful, normal family. It could be any of us in this room. So it's, nobody's like supernatural or nobody's, some strange lurking creature. It's just this beautiful family that have a fresh start, and they slowly unravel.
Someone was asking me online recently about the alternate endings, if they still existed.
Yeah, I don't think did we film it?
I know they were concepted.
I don't recall filming an alternate ending. I don't remember. I mean, I just remember that kitchen walking in like that.
Oh my God.
You had to go back
Yeah.
and refilm.
Oh, in California, yeah, I had to do it a second time. It wasn't gory enough. There wasn't enough pus oozing from my eye. We had to get the pus going,
Maybe less is more.
No. All right, guys.
Thank you.
All right.